Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product review, and this time we're looking at a new line that Mark Richmond brought in to Chef Knives to Go. This is the Kanehide TK Gyuto 240mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel that's or in fact the whole thing is mono steel, but the steel is semi-stainless, so it resists corrosion. It's almost stainless, but it's just under that threshold. It's a proprietary semi-stainless steel. The heat treat rating is right about 61 Rockwell on that core steel. And again, the construction is mono steel, so there's no cladding of layers. It's all constructed out of the same, completely the same steel material all the way through the blade. The weight on the knife is 215 grams, 7.6 ounces. And the blade length is right at 240 on the edge for this sample, which is just about 9.5 inches. The overall length, about 14.7 inches on the entire knife. And these knives are pretty thin at the spine, so it's about 2 millimeter here above the back of the heel at the chin, and then it holds most of that throughout the blade until you hit the behind the tip of the knife where the grind starts changing, and then it thins out nicely towards the tip. You've got plenty of blade height there. This is about 50 millimeters high back at the back of the blade here. And the handle is just a nicely executed black packawood yo or western style handle with a nice bolster on it. The fit and finish is really, really good on this, and it's very smooth throughout. The fit and finish on the bolster is excellent as well. I was very impressed with the fit and finish on these. They're nicely rounded off just a little bit at the spine, as well as the back of the blade, the choil, and that curve into the bolster is nicely relieved as well. Very comfortable right out of the box. Out of the box edge, actually, before we get to that, you can see the screening on the blade, so there's a screened kanji. Out of the box edge was very, very good, but mine felt like it had a burr. It looked like it had a burr on it, so I went ahead and sharpened the blade, and it really sharpened up quickly. And it sharpened up well, and it got really sharp. So I'm liking this steel so far in the sharpening. The right side of the blade does have a kind of a polished, it's not really a bevel, but a polished area to push it down towards the edge. And again, it's not an edge bevel. There's a smaller bevel beyond that. But the right side of the blade does have that. And the left side of the blade just has it's kind of a smaller version of the same. I thought the knife was pretty symmetrical when I put a ruler up against both sides. To me, it looked fairly symmetrical. I'm a lefty, and I found no steering issues at all on this knife whatsoever. It goes through product very, very well. The tip I thought could go through. I did some onions, and the vertical cuts through the onion dice were not quite as easily went through as some knives I've used, but it went through it acceptably well. And the main part of the blade really went through product quite well. It exhibited a pretty decent food release characteristics for a thin knife, and it's got a decent amount of convexing to it, and I think it's really well done. And as I said, the food release is actually quite reasonable for something with this type of finish on it, and as well as how thin the blade is. So nicely done on their part. The let's take a look at the curve of the edge profile. So this knife has just a really, I think, a well-executed edge profile. It's just got great all-around characteristics for a variety of cutting styles. It doesn't have a ton of flat section for pure chopping, but it's really got a great, what I think is just a great all-around profile. Not super duper thin at the edge, but as I said, the knife really does go through product quite well. So let's take a look at what that looks like on a cutting board. And you'll see it's just a nice smooth, little bit of belly towards the tip and then smoothly into the heel area. Again, not a ton of flat section, but a little flatter than some. So this should be a really good all-rounder type blade. I can get pretty high on this before I start touching the tip into the board. So you can cover a pretty decent sized ingredients with this. So just a nice knife. It got really sharp. It's held that edge well, and the little I've used it, I haven't really put it to any true heavy testing yet. But here's your balance point on the knife. So just a great all-around knife. Amazing price point, and Excellent fit and finish. It's monosteel, so the sides of the blade really shouldn't scratch very easily because it's not a soft steel covering or cladding. Like I said, great fit and finish, nicely put together blade, good all around profile and performance. Just an excellent knife. So there you have the Kanehide TK Gyuto 2 40mm knife.